Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP, a biweekly conversation in which AARP staff and volunteers talk to Connecticut decision makers about policies and programs that are of interest to older residents. My name is John Erlingheuser, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Community Outreach at AARP Connecticut. I'm very pleased to be joined today by one of our great AARP Connecticut volunteers, Tim Ryan. Thanks for being with us today, Tim, and why don't you tell folks a little bit about what you do for AARP and a little bit about your own personal background.
Sure. I'm currently the Connecticut AARP lead volunteer for financial security, and my background was in finance, and I'm a former CPA in a prior life.
Excellent. Well, Tim is one of our great volunteers, and we appreciate all the work he does. And like we always like to say, the volunteers are the kind of backbone of the work that AARP does. So this morning, it's also my pleasure to welcome Natalie Braswell, who since January 1st of this year has been serving as the Comptroller of the state of Connecticut. As the Comptroller, she also serves as the chair of the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority. Comptroller Braswell, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background prior to being appointed state Comptroller by Governor Lamont for this past January?
Thanks, John. Hi, Tim. Good to see you again as usual. So as you mentioned, Governor Lamont appointed me as the state comptroller shortly after our former comptroller, Kevin Lembo, announced that he was resigning for health purposes. In terms of what my prior life was like before becoming comptroller, I actually worked for Comptroller Lembo for 10 years as his general counsel and assistant comptroller, and touched on almost every aspect of what the work that's being done in the comptroller's office. The Retirement Security Authority is actually something that's near and dear to my heart because it's one of the things that Comptroller Lembo sort of tasked me with when the board got together in order to try to assist from the comptroller's perspective this program get up and running and launched. And we've come a very long way in a very short period of time to get to the point where we're ready to launch that program.
Well, that's great. And I just will say before Tim takes over here a little bit, that we have had a great relationship working with you. And I know we were very, very pleased when Governor Lamont appointed you as state comptroller because of your prior work in that office and work with AARP on the retirement security program. So Tim, where'd you go?
Yeah, Natalie, can you tell our audience about the Office of the Comptroller and what functions the office performs? I know many residents don't know about it, or what you do versus what the treasurer does, things like that.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of confusion there because a lot of states don't have the dual role of comptroller and treasurer. I think Connecticut is lucky that constitutionally we have those roles, and it's actually the Constitution that delineates the responsibilities between the treasurer's office and our office. So basically, the comptroller is the state's chief accountant. Our office pays all the state bills. We pay all of our state employees, which is vitally important. But we also administer the retirement and pension system for the state. So we write all of the checks for our retirees and make sure that they get their benefit every month. In addition to sort of being the chief fiscal guardian, one of the things that we do that's a little bit unique to our office here in Connecticut is that we administer healthcare for all state employees and their dependents, and that's about 200,000 people. So that's a pretty big self-insured healthcare plan, and we use those numbers to really try to negotiate the best prices for insurance coverage so that our employees and their families are getting the highest quality healthcare for the lowest price that we can get for them.
It's a lot of responsibility, and it often amazes me because the Office of Comptroller is one of the statewide constitutional offices, and it's amazing to me how many people are not aware of the important role and functions that your office plays. So we really appreciate the work that you guys are doing and what you did prior to becoming the comptroller yourself. So why don't you tell us maybe what are a few priorities for you in the year you're going to serve as state comptroller?
So I think one of my big priorities is the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority and getting that program launched and up and running, and making sure that the 600,000 individuals here in Connecticut that don't have an option for saving for their retirement actually have that option and have that quickly. One of our other main priorities for our office this year is, I think as the media is widely reported, we have an impending retirement surge that is coming. Somewhere up to, at least for our agency and for most of the other state agencies, about 30% of our workforce is eligible to retire as of July 1st. And so because our office administers the retirement and pension plan, that means that we're the ones processing all of those retirements. And, we've gotten hundreds and hundreds of additional retirements each month, that we're in the process of making sure that when you put in that application, that the next month when you're retired, you're getting your first retirement check and it's seamless and you're not worried about any sort of interruption in your healthcare benefits or anything like that. So that is a huge issue for our office right now, because it affects so many different areas. It affects our retirement division, it affects our payroll division, it affects our healthcare policy division. When you're used to having about 100, 150 retirements per month, and then you're at 400, then 500, and so far 800. And, we could have by July 1st upwards of 4,000 retirement benefits that we're processing per month. Depending on people's decision in terms of when they decide to retire, we have to make sure that our systems are in place to allow for the timely processing of those benefits. And so far, knock on wood, we're on track to make sure, and we're making sure that we're sort of always keeping that higher number in mind, so that we have the resources and the ability to process those applications. So that's really a big issue for us right now. And another thing that we've sort of added to our plate is, last year the legislature passed the COVID relief fund, which they got $34 million put in place to be able to provide essential workers here in Connecticut with some much needed economic assistance for things like lost wages, medical expenses that weren't covered by health insurance, and things, unfortunately, if someone ended up passing away, we have monies there to pay for funeral expenses. So we've been doing a really hard push on that, to get people to sign up for that program and to provide the documentation necessary. The money is there until it's depleted, but it's also on a first come, first served basis. So that's sort of, what we're really focusing on right now. And in addition to all of the just everyday things, we have to sort of protect the fiscal progress and advocate for an inclusive state economy here in Connecticut.
That's why it's critical to have a steady hand at the office at this time, and an experienced person. So we appreciate that.
Right. So I know you're the chair of the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority, because I've been to a few of your meetings. Can you tell our viewers what exactly the CRSA does and what its mandated is?
So the program, we have it sort of characterized, and we need to be better at sort of getting out there, because even I'm sort of still calling it the Retirement Security Program. But we have named it, and it's MyCTSavings. So the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority is the board that's basically standing up the program, MyCTSavings Retirement Initiative. And so the basis of the program is to provide retirement savings options for workers who don't currently have a plan through their employer. And that's estimated to be around 600,000 uncovered private sector employees with no access to an employee-sponsored retirement. So, the plan is really designed to provide access to automatic payroll deduction and retirement savings for those employees that are basically just underserved in the marketplace. And that 600,000 number, I think is probably larger, especially as we've seen with the recent pandemic, sort of the the equity issues that have come up, and the fact that, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and employers don't necessarily have the means to provide the types of benefits that they were able to provide before. So I would wager a guess that that 600,000 number is probably a bit higher in terms of the individuals that don't have the ability to save for their retirement. So what this program is doing is filling in an unmet need for these underserved individuals in this sector.
Comptroller Braswell, why don't you tell us a little bit more about MyCTSavings? So you gave us a general idea about these 600,000 people. It's certainly a great program. AARP worked to help get this program up and running, and certainly work closely with your predecessor as Comptroller Kevin Lembo. But so who are the businesses that are going to need to participate in this program, or what are businesses in the state of Connecticut going to have to do? And what actually is the product that individual employees are going to have, and how much is this going to cost businesses, to implement, right? I mean, you talked about it being able to have them provide a benefit to their employees. So, kind of give us a little bit of a picture so people will have a little clearer idea how it'll all work.
So basically, in terms of the structure, this is a mandatory auto IRA with an opt-out by the employee only. So the employees may opt out, but employers must provide the employee with information if they don't already have a retirement plan. In terms of who's covered, it's employers who have more than 5 employees and who do not offer a retirement plan. The state, actually, the good part about this program is that the state assumes the administrative burden. Many businesses can't take on administrative costs of an employer plan, so the state assumes the burden of administration and acts as the fiduciary for this plan. I think a very important point, which you've alluded to, John, is that there's no cost to the employers. The program is designed to become self-sufficient through, small fees that are issued to the account participants, and there's no cost to the employers for participation. What this ends up doing is it helps small businesses. Many small businesses are unable to provide retirement savings plans due to the administrative and financial costs, and this program gives businesses the ability to help their employees without taking on those burdens. We have tried to structure this program the best way possible so that the fees are low, and that the program's investment portfolios have been designed to be sustainable with a mix of flat fees and low percent fees to serve assets for low, what we assume are going to be sort of low dollar accounts. This is, again, a program that will largely give access to lower income middle class workers who have high fees or on low dollar accounts, and this will help them in that respect.
So basically, you said auto IRA, and so this is going to be like I understand it, a Roth IRA, and the individual employee owns this account, right? So
Correct.
and is it portable? Will they be able to take it from job to job?
Yes.
So that's good. I mean, so this sounds like a win-win, because to me, the small businesses that can't afford to provide that benefit, will now be able to, at no cost, be able to provide that benefit and help retain their employees and make them more competitive with others. Tim, what did you want to?
Yeah, Natalie, do you have any feeling on the timeline, or where are we in the process? How's this going to roll out?
Right, because we're here in the thick of March now, so.
Right. So we launched a pilot program before I got here, so back in October, and we're looking at, and that's been fairly successful. And the pilot program is for the purpose of trying to refine and make the process better from our technology standpoint and from our payroll deduction standpoint and our registration. So our hope is, and I think we're on track to do this, is to have a statewide launch in March of this year.
So we should be getting this hopefully up and running anytime now, right?
Yeah, it'll definitely be happening in March. We, have a couple of issues to work out in terms of the data that we're using for this. And once those get resolved, which I think will be resolved very shortly, It's really just a process of them getting those employers into the system and sending out communications so that they know, that it's time to, sign up for the program, or provide the information to their employees so that they can sign up for the program.
Tim, before you ask the next question, so we're not reinventing the wheel here in Connecticut, right? I mean, this is something that's happening in other states, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is something that's been happening for a couple of years now in California and Oregon and Illinois, all programs that have been successful. And even during this very tough time of the pandemic, have continued to see individuals putting money away and saving for their retirement. They haven't lost any sort of momentum in terms of the folks that are signing up and participating. So there are success stories to point to that have been going on for a couple of years now, not, just a couple of months, or we have real data out there that shows that these types of programs are working. We have a lot of other states, Maryland being one of them, that are in the process of setting up their program, and, other states that are in, and cities too, that are in the process of either going through legislation or going through the RFP process to start looking for managers and to run their programs. So, I mean, this is something that states have recognized is a benefit. I think one thing that we haven't talked about is, not just what the benefit is to the individual who will be able to save for their retirement benefit, but there's a huge benefit to the state in terms of having their residents, their citizens, have retirement savings. Saves the state a lot of money in terms of the social services that need to be provided to the elderly during this time, because now, there is money that individuals have saved up to subsidize their retirement. And then that saves the state and, a whole bunch of social services, healthcare costs, etc. So there's a definite benefit. And I think, again, states are seeing that we're not talking about a de minimis amount of money here. We're talking about billions of dollars that can be saved by having a program like this in place so that your residents have a means by which they can save for their retirement.
So we got a win-win-win, right? We're helping individuals save, we're helping employers be competitive and retain their employees at no cost to them. And in the long run, we're helping taxpayers by saving in the social service costs later on in retirement. So sounds great to me.
Exactly.
Right. And where can people go to get more information on the program, or if they want to join or whatever?
We have a website that's set up. People can go to MyCTSavings.com to get more information about the program.
This has been a really great conversation, and I know I'm so glad to hear that MyCTSavings is a priority for you, Comptroller Braswell, and I know it is for our volunteers and our members. And we've been hearing, when Tim led so many events across the state in years past, kind of promoting this. The most common response was like, duh, why aren't we already doing this? This is a no-brainer. So we're really excited about, you finishing out the term of Comptroller Lembo as Comptroller, and that you're taking the reins as Chairman of Retirement Security Authority to get MyCTSavings going. So it's really been a pleasure. Tim, any closing words for you?
Nope. Thanks for Natalie for coming.
Thank you.
And
Tim,
yep.
Appreciate it.
And Comptroller Braswell, we really appreciate you being with us this morning. And we'd like to thank all of you for joining us this morning for another edition of Coffee and Tea with AARP Connecticut. And we'll see you again, folks. Thank you.